Welcome to Impact by DIFFA Dallas, the official podcast of the Dallas chapter of the Design Industries Foundation Fighting AIDS. We'll share valuable info about the fight against HIV and AIDS, what our organization is doing to assist those in our community, and most importantly, how you can help us make a real impact.
Hi, welcome to DIFFA Dallas Impact. My name is Tim Garippa. I'm happy to have today two of our fantastic AIDS service organizations, A Sister's Gift and GDMAF. Today we have Cheryl Edwards and David Hearn with us, so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, glad y'all could be here. We're excited to talk a little bit about A Sister's Gift and GDMAF and what you guys do in the community.
Cool.
But before we do that, David, why don't you take a second and introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm David Hearn. I'm the founder and treasurer of the Greg Dodgener Memorial AIDS Fund. It was established, this is our 25th anniversary year, so we have been here helping people with HIV and AIDS and emergency needs. After all the other major AOSs have exhausted their funds, they come to us as a last resort organization. So we've been doing this 25 years. It was named after my partner, Greg Dodgener, who died in 1994, and we started it in 96 in his memory.
That's awesome. Cheryl.
Okay, well, my name is Cheryl Edwards. I'm from the Dallas area. I am the CEO and founder of A Sister's Gift Women's Center. We opened up, I like to say we gave birth about 17 years ago in memory of my brother who I lost to the virus about in 1995. So we've been open about 17 years, and our main purpose was to fill a gap of services that we felt did not exist.
Sure.
So we target women, especially. We also help men, but we target women for our social services and emergency services, and also our peer-based support.
Right.
So DIFFA has been a huge supporter of why we are still around, and we see between 300 and 400 women a year who call in, who need support, who want to see another person that looks like them living with the virus.
Sure.
And so again, thank you for having me here to talk about our services.
Of course, so happy to have you all here. You know, we have seen over time the changing landscape of HIV and AIDS, and as a result, the changing needs of the community. So why don't we start with you, Cheryl? Let's talk a little bit about A Sister's Gift and the gap that's filling, because a lot of people, I think, feel that HIV and AIDS is really targeted to a certain population, and they don't think about minority women that are disproportionately affected, right? They don't think about the risk that it has on everybody. So talk to us a little bit more about A Sister's Gift, the community you serve. What are the types of cases that you're seeing now?
Right. So when we talk about women living with the virus, I like to talk about some of the comprehensive things that can affect women that may not affect their counterparts, because that comprises who we are and the services that we offer. So you may see a woman who is impacted by domestic violence. You may see a woman that is caregiving for her aging parents. You may see a young woman who's single, who's on disability, who is trying to feed her small children. So it kind of runs the gamut on how, it just can't be a cookie cutter approach to serving women. So we see all types. I mean, my youngest client is 18 and my oldest is 74. And in fact, she's been living with the virus since the 74-year-old was living with the virus since she was 55.
Wow.
So these women are everyday women.
Yeah.
We can't say, well, she was on drugs or she was a prostitute. I mean, these women are just like me.
Yeah.
And they look just like me.
Yeah.
And they vary. They're professional working women. Some of them are very sick, didn't get on their medications in time. They're unable to work. So their financial struggles are a big issue for them. And so this is why DIFFA has allowed us to be able to have services such as bus passes, emergency care packages, which we give these huge packages that have over 25 items in them, which include boxed goods, boxed food, canned goods, things like undergarments and female items that they'll need, and soap or wash towel. We're also seeing women who are homeless who are calling us more now. And so that's where Greg Dollinger Fund comes in. And they're a great help, because when we get low on funds, we call them. So I think partnerships are also very important in the community. But we are here mainly to offer support and provide crisis support to women who are in crisis in a peer environment. And so we have what we call our center. Yeah. And so this is a center where women they want to come by, they want to come in, they want to get a hug. We greet every woman with a hug as soon as she comes in. And we have things like care packages and purses, and we have hair products, a lot of the feminine things that a woman may not get when she goes to another agency. So again, we don't want to be case managers.
Sure.
You need to go to those federally funded agencies that have that Ryan White money. We are just here to augment and to give that extra care and love to a woman that we feel like she needs, because we feel like, and the women have expressed to us, they feel like they don't fit in anywhere else. So this is a place for them to fit in.
So one of the things that we see in the community is stigma around getting help, talking about the disease, talking about needing help at all. What would you say to, those women that are infected or that, need some help, but they're scared to reach out?
Well, what we do is we have what we call really hard talk, and it's really very frank. And we have women who are in our agency who are impacted, who pick up the phone and talk to these women who say, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to go to the doctor. And you know what our peer leaders tell them? If you don't go, you're going to die. And I hate to sound so frank.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. And when you hear that from someone, another woman that's living with the virus, it can open eyes. Sometimes a hospital stay will also open eyes. Sure. But we just tell them, we don't try to fix it up and box it up real cute.
Right.
We just say you're going to die, because if you look at the statistics of women living with the virus compared to men living with the virus, our outcomes of death are higher.
Really?
Because we don't want to take care of ourselves. We take care of everybody else. And who comes last? I'm the same way, and I'm not living with the virus, but I do the same thing. I want to make sure my partner's taken care of, and my daughter, my children, and that's first. I'm last, and it's the same way for a woman living with the virus.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's how it goes. So you got to scare a person sometimes, and then they'll listen, and then sometimes they don't listen. And typically those are the younger women we found, because they didn't see what I saw, back in the 80s.
They didn't see the 80s and 90s when people were literally
People were
dying
walking around dying in front of you. So they don't think, a lot of the younger women that are in their 20s, I'm not going to die. They're the ones where we get a phone call. And they're fighting for their life in the hospital. But the older women tend to be, older, 35 and up, tend to be more compliant and more medically adherent.
Sure. Texas has the highest infection rate in Texas, or Dallas has the highest infection rate in Texas.
Yes.
Number 4 in the nation. A couple years ago, infection rates were increasing. One of the few metro locations in the U.S. where we had increasing infection rates. And federal funds are becoming tighter and tighter. And I know GDMAF is doing a fantastic job at trying to fill some of those urgent needs. Right. What is it, David, that you're seeing around the needs in the community? How are you guys helping to fill that critical gap that we're seeing?
Well, luckily, we are a 100% volunteer organization, which has its positives and negatives. Because that means we have to depend on others to kind of help us too. And thank goodness for DIFFA and organizations like the other AOSs that help us. Because without DIFFA's money and the other nonprofits that are within the city that help us, we wouldn't be able to help as many people as we do. And the increased amount of people asking for help, it's everything from, we had a 23-year-old person who had moved here from Austin with her husband, and she went into the hospital and found out she was HIV.
Wow.
She lost her job. She was trying to get a job up here, but she got sick, so she wasn't able. And then they had a place to live, and they were starting to couch surf. So they were trying to find somebody, friends or someplace, and when they couldn't find a place, they'd be homeless. So we were able to step in and pay for a month's rent for them to stay at a Days Inn type of suites inn for a month to get them stabilized. And that's what we try to do. We can't help everyone, and we can only help them one time each year. And so hopefully that one time will help them bridge to get to a place that they can start taking care of themselves a little bit more and being able to get back on their feet. We had helped another 39-year-old man that was living in his car, a Hispanic young man, and his work was his truck, and he had cut grass, and that's how he made money, but he was sleeping in his truck. So over all these years, he had to get a newer truck, and he got behind because he got sick and ended up in the hospital. So we were able to keep his car payments going for a month or two until he got out to get back to where he could start working again and start making money. And he actually wrote us a letter later saying how much that meant, because he actually was able to then start expanding, and he had some other people start working for him. He got moved into a place to live. And so that one little bit of help that you don't know when it's going to happen, that you need the help, it helps bridge that time. And stress is one of the worst things anybody can have if you're sick, no matter what disease you may have. But especially when you don't know what next day will bring, and you're trying to make it through to the next day, that's where we can step in. And we've even been able to do it the same day. That's where we're a little different from other organizations, because all of our funding is basically cash donations like DIFFA and other organizations that support us. And with that, we can actually turn on it much quicker. So we've actually driven checks down to keep somebody's electricity from being turned off that day because it's 106 degrees outside.
And that can be life-changing.
And they have a family with 2 kids there, and they don't want them to die inside and stuff. So we can do things. We prefer it to be 3 to 5 days. But we can do the same day if needed. And so, but yes, you're always seeing a changing landscape of HIV, because I was reading in Pause magazine where, the 23 to 39-year-olds are less likely to really even hug somebody anymore that's HIV positive, because they're still afraid they're going to get something. So I'm afraid the stigma is coming back again because of lack of education, the lack of talking about it, and finding out what's going on in our world today. It's getting, because we're so polarized, sometimes people they need to learn the other side and what everything else is going on, because we really need to do that.
It's interesting, the lack of information that's out there, and I think part of it is, it was so much in the news in the 80s and 90s. I mean, we're literally, DIFFA is funding grants to Texas Women's, UNT, some other universities, all for the purpose of getting to that population of 18 to 25-year-olds that don't know much about HIV and AIDS. They don't know, how you can contract it. They don't know about care. They don't know about all those things that people, in their mid-30s and up, it just seems like everyone knows, right? And they don't.
And can I add one thing?
Yeah, please.
To piggyback off of David, what's so important about what I call these frontline organizations, like David's and mine? We're on the front lines, and we don't have full-time funding, and we don't have Ryan White funding. And so it's very important that we keep these types of organizations alive. And so DIFFA allows us to do that, because you have so many larger organizations that they're vying for money just like we are. But it's, for us, it's really beneficial, because like David was talking about, driving a check to somebody, or me getting in my car, having to go to Parkland Hospital because somebody's about to die and they're asking for someone from a sister's gift to be there. A lot of times it's the founder who ends up going in our car, wherever we have to go. So we call those front line. We're on the front lines. Right. We're still on the front lines. And so many of these types of organizations have gone. They've withered away. They can't stay alive because the federal funding does not recognize us. Sure. And so for us, and I'm speaking for you, I apologize.
Go right ahead. You're doing a good job.
But we need the support of DIFFA and other organizations, and other foundations to understand our walk, because our walk is not the same as the other ASOs. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think this is a good opportunity because a lot of people don't know our smaller organizations that are doing a lot of things that really impact people with HIV and AIDS. They know the bigger ones because that's where they go get medical and all the other things. But I mean, we've been here 25 years and we're kind of the best kept secret in Dallas. A lot of times people have said, and once they find out about us or her organization, they start realizing, wow, these people are really hitting the ground running at the moment that persons really are at impact. So that can be life-changing to somebody with HIV or AIDS.
Absolutely. You are filling that gap that isn't being addressed by some of the larger ASOs, and it's so important. We're really thankful for our patrons in Dallas. Dallas is a giving community, which thank goodness, because that's helping us give the money that we give to different organizations. But talk to us a little bit around, how people can support your organizations. Maybe they can't financially, right? But what are some other ways that they can support through donations, through time, through anything?
Go ahead, you start.
Take it first.
Yeah, please.
Well, because we are all volunteer, we have 2 major fundraisers a year. So they could volunteer to help us at those fundraisers. One is called Metro Ball, and that's in June. Okay. And we have some headliners that come in, and we have a huge silent auction, but we need a lot of volunteers because we have about 800 people attend to S4, and that's in June. People can donate silent auction items or just their time. Sure. So any of that. We also have our donation button on our website, of course, GDMAF.org, that you can always go to. That you can always go and donate anytime during the year, because all the money we raise goes to help those. And because we have so little overhead, everything GDMAF is worked out of my house, basically. So we don't have to pay for a location that people come to because we're emergency need funds. So by us being electronically connected to the other 10 major AOSs, they can send us the information and we can react the same day. So that's the good thing about us being electronically connected now. But by volunteering, we also are participants in Life Walk each year, which is our second major fundraiser that we do. So you can join our Team Metro and help us there. And just being at the walk, whether you are able to donate money, but to get experience that other people either walking, that are living with HIV, or that are there to help those with HIV.
Okay. Yeah. So a Sister's Gift is also 75% volunteer driven. And so we use volunteers in several ways. Most important is when we have Outreach Day. We have Outreach Day about 3 days a month, and that's where all of our clients come into the center, which we do have an office thanks to DIFFA. It's actually a beautiful center of hope. You see encouragement on the walls when you walk in, and anything a woman could ever wish for or need, we can typically just open the drawer and pull it out. So sometimes women, they may come in and say, I don't even have a coat. Well, guess what? We have them. Or I just need a skirt or some shoes. Well, maybe we can help you get the shoes, but we've got socks for you. So on that day, we use volunteers to help check the clients in and also to distribute the products to them. Care packages, bus passes. Our volunteers typically have to go through a 2-hour training, and they are vetted very carefully because we don't want to compromise anybody's confidentiality. Absolutely. So that's one way. And of course, at the end of the year, we have a different little administrative projects that we use our volunteers for. If you can type or make a few phone calls, that always helps. Sure. We also do 2 events every every 2 years. One is called our Women's Brunch, where we can use women to help us spread the word on social media about the event. Right. And the other event is a car event where we have classic cars.
Oh, awesome.
And you come through, look at them,
Cool.
and you can also leave a donation.
Yeah.
So if you go to our website, there is
What is the
a
website?
link, www.asistersgift.org.
Great.
There is a link to volunteermatch.org. Once you click on there, it details out all of our volunteer opportunities. We also have a donate button as well, where you can click on that. Or, since social media is all the buzz, you can go to our Facebook page,
Sure.
which is at A Sister's Gift. And you can see all the great things we're doing on there. We talk about DIFFA. We've got some great pictures on there of our board and DIFFA board. And also just information about our organization is also on there as well. We've also launched 2 years ago a virtual network. So that means that if a person can't get to the phone or they don't feel safe talking, they can text us. And the response time on that is about 2 to 3 hours. All you have to do is, I'm going to be like the young people, hit us on text. Hit us on text. And that way you can say, well, I'm a woman, I need some help. And then we text you back an agreement that says you give us permission to talk to you about your virus. And then once that is agreed upon, we can answer questions. A lot of times we just get questions like, I just moved to town. Where do I go for help? Right. Okay. And so we start filtering out information to them. We say, okay, we've got a list. We're going to text it to you. Well, what clinics can I go to? Okay, here's a list of clinics. We'll text it to you. So we found that being volunteer driven, we've got to find a way where we can connect quickly. Because you might call us, you might call the other agencies at 6 o'clock at night. Well, we're not there. Yeah. So we don't have 24-hour case managers. And when you, however much, if DIFFA gives us $200, we're going to help 200 women with it. If you give us $2,000, we're going to help 200. It doesn't matter. You know, like some agencies, they see somebody or they go in for intake, they fill out a form to get paid for that. Sure. It doesn't matter with us. And that's what you still call frontline, because whatever we have, we're gonna help that person anyway, and we're gonna work. And if we can't help them, then we're gonna find somebody who can, like the lady who was homeless. Make sure you send her to us next time, because maybe we can partner on that to help her. So because we do get a lot of calls from homeless women. She may have actually been one of our clients. I don't know, but just let her know that if there's some items that she's needing, or even the peer piece of just the peer support. We have them at our center.
And we'll definitely make sure, because, like I said, because we work directly with the agencies, they supply their 3 worst needs each month. Yeah. And so we don't really get involved with the names or anything else. So we'd have to get them back to the agency, but we definitely try to let them know the other organizations that can help them. Because if they ever try to call GDMAF direct, we try to make sure they get connected into one of the other bigger organizations, because they got to get health. Yes. They need housing. They need all the things that they can provide that we cannot do.
Medical care.
So all we can do is help you one time, and that's not going to be a long-term picture. So we really force them to go back to the case managers and give them the list. Like she says, we supply the names of people. You can go call them. I have all the case managers' names. If I need to call somebody on the side and say, you're going to be getting a call from somebody, then they'll be aware that this is going to be an emergency need coming through, so you might need to get them signed up and get them back to us as fast as you can.
Right.
So that's a component that I think is important, because medical care is important.
Absolutely.
So when you come to our center, that's the first thing we ask as soon as you call. And if you're not in medical care, and if you don't have a case manager, then we say, go get your case manager and give us a call back.
Right.
And it's amazing how that works very quickly when they're in need and there's some things that they're needing. So, and again, because of DIFFA is why we're able to offer all of those things.
Well, and DIFFA is so happy to support A Sister's Gift and GDMAF. You guys are making fantastic inroads in the community and really a strong positive impact. So super happy to support both of y'all. Cheryl, David, thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Tim.
Thank you for the
Appreciate
time.
it.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of Impact. You can find out more information on our website, diffadallas.org.